You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kerbison, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerbison, joined with Reed Bacon. Got another great one today. We're talking about Jonathan Echols, big four-star recruit in that 2024 class, breaking down his film, letting you know what we think. But before we get into any of that, if you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. We absolutely love the comments. If you're just listening, rate and review, download and re-download, and follow us on all those platforms you might be listening. Also, follow us on social media at Pancakes and Bacon on Twitter for our main account, at rbacon26 for Reed, at Kyler Kerbison for myself on all social media platforms. But yeah, appreciate you guys, and let's jump into this great podcast. All right, welcome in, everybody. I got another great podcast, and today we are talking about one individual person. I think you guys truly enjoy the film breakdown we do for our commits. So we're talking about Jonathan Echols first. Before we get into that, Reed, how we doing, bud?
Kyler, I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. Fantastic. Had a great weekend. Ready to talk foosball with you.
Yeah, I had a great weekend too, and we will save it for another time. But I had a little flat tire story, which will be entertaining for the podcast at some point. But we'll save it. But yeah, it was a great weekend. So just hung out with Megan, and yeah, good times.
Yeah, we don't want these individual ones to go over very long, but
yeah. And I will say, I did go to she wanted to go to the South Carolina basketball game. So I was like, all right, we can go. Dude, this is the only thing I'll say about that game. South Carolina is awful. That is one of the worst. That's one of the worst college basketball teams I've ever sat and watched.
It's bad. I mean, when we perform like that versus them, the most inconsistent team in the country right now, that's whew.
I also had South Carolina catching 23.5. Okay, back. I didn't put much on it, but I figured it'd be funny, and I was like, dude, 23.5 is a lot. Well, about 30 seconds into the game, I was like, I saw them have 3 possessions. I was like, all right, well, that's a loser.
Well, this is gonna be fun.
All right, Jonathan Echols, blue chip. You know, I know some places had. I was gonna say I know some places. Maybe said he's a 5-star. Maybe he gains another 5-star, or he made another star to go 5. But right now he is a 4-star. He's an IMG, so we all know IMG is the studs of the studs. And anybody that is at IMG that is
transfer down there because he was doing too much at his previous school.
Right, yeah. And anybody that's at IMG that's 6'4", 230. I mean, Tennessee, Bama, Arkansas, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, LSU, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Texas A&M, everybody and their mother wants him. So I will say that I started off by watching him in his sophomore season because that's what's on his huddle.
Yep.
And when you watch that, it really is a blue chip, this guy's just the best player on the field. And what's funny and even scary is he's a sophomore. So it looks like, he
was that whole team.
Yeah. And it's like when you see a guy like that, a lot of times, even if they are a blue chip future 5-star, it's probably, I mean, sometimes it's sophomore year, but a lot of times it's junior and senior year. But I mean, this guy was out here running like a grown man at, 16 years old, maybe, as a sophomore. And what was so impressive is that, offense. So whether they had him lining up and he was blocking, and he was a very willing blocker, which will tie us into something as a tight end.
That's what I wrote down. I was like, his blocking told me all I needed to know about like his mindset.
Right. What type of guy he is.
Yeah. What type of guy, what type of football player are you? You show me your blocking tape. I'll tell you.
Unselfish, wants to win.
Exactly.
Help the team.
Also,
not bigger than the team.
Also
physical.
has that has that dog in him. Like
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
has that dog in him where he's like, I don't give a shit who you are. Like I'm trying to run you over.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is, I mean, I absolutely love.
Yeah. Paramount sometimes in football, man. You got to have some of that in you. But so, like I was saying, they give him snaps at quarterback. He outruns everybody. He's playing defensive end and looking like, a baby, Von Miller out there, just absolutely wrecking people, coming off the edge, using his speed, setting the edge, good physicality, good open field tackling. Then he had a nice interception, and then they put him at, he was on kickoff. It's like, I mean, this guy, I don't care if he is a sophomore, that guy in high school football coming down on kickoff is a massive problem. Problem.
He's huge.
And even how big he is and like how long he looks. He runs fluid. Like he doesn't look like some baby.
He is a long strider though. Like he really, like, those legs start like it was. There's a few guys that I've seen do that where it almost looks like they're running slow, but they're not. They're moving. Like you could tell on the kickoff, he's moving.
Or just some of those where they put him at quarterback. Dude is hauling and moving.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, as blue chip gets. I mean, younger, but he's bigger than everybody, faster, stronger, more physical fit. We did see him. I did walk by him. I did a Reed Bacon walk by at the Florida game. So he wasn't in a practice we went to, but he was at the Florida game on the sideline. We were there, and he's a very good sized kid. And that was in the middle of his junior year. So he was already bigger than some of the guys who were there. That are on campus now. And so good sized kid, looks mature, but going to the IMG tapes so we could find some IMG stuff of him on YouTube because he didn't have it on his huddle. And I don't know if it's him, if it's a coach or a mentor or a family member or whatever that said, hey, you need to go play tight end. Maybe he likes tight end the most. You know what I mean? And it's funny. Like sometimes I sit and think, I'm like, if I'm 6'4", 230, Am I trying to play a tight end? Am I trying to play defense end? Am I trying to play linebacker? Am I trying to play quarterback? So it's like he kind of has all the options. So I don't know why, but he chose tight end. And the few clips that I saw of him at IMG, it is scary what he could do in a Josh Heupel offense. I think like Heupel looks at this kid and is like, and forgive me, people, I have not gone back to look to see what other tight ends maybe Hype's had at his time at Oklahoma, Missouri, UCF. But if he has a guy like this controlling the middle of the field, I mean, look out. Can you imagine? And no offense to Jacob Bourne or Princeton Fant that played this year, but can you imagine if we were lining up this year and we have a guy like this in the middle of the field, and then you put, Cedric on one side and Jalen on another side, and then Bruce in the other slot?
Yeah.
I mean, where's their nickel going to go, or is there going to be a linebacker? Like, it's just, and I thought it looked very natural for him. IMG, they ran some boots with him. He'd catch it, turn up field. A couple times he had a little like Travis Kelce looking routes where he kind of goes, just turns around. And I liked how he snapped that head around, snapped those hands around, caught it, and then he had the ones where he took the seam off and just ran right by people. So
I think the one thing about him though is like I watched his sophomore tape, and like you said, he plays every position. And I watched that first. Then I watched the IMG and the tight end. I realized that he went to IMG and predominantly stayed at tight end before I watched the film. And still, like, my thought process is like his ceiling is so much higher on defense in my eyes.
Okay.
His ceiling is, I mean, the things he was doing on the defense, the fact that they were like, hey, bump back and go into coverage, and he got a freaking interception. Like,
right.
The setting the edge, like you said, the moves he was putting on tackles, like his ability and angles and pursuit. And then on the other side, just like seeing like, okay, that was an okay route. Like, good job. You caught that ball with no one around you. Or like, hey, you got to 5 or 6 yards, but you didn't get much. And I'm just like, are you wasting your potential at a tight end position? Especially when, like, I would definitely say his strength isn't like his route running and ability to get open and all that stuff. Like, I think he is very athletic, and if he's in open space, he can get speed going. He can do something. But he's not like cutting really tough and making guys miss and making guys fall over. And IMG ran the ball a lot too. So, like, he didn't even get to experience a lot of the passing game, which is part of it. But, like, dude, I just feel like he would be more of a problem at a defensive end than he would at a tight end. Not to say that, Heupel and what he can do with him is not going to be an issue for defenses, because I understand that, like, Heupel's brain is so advanced and, like, creating opportunities for these guys. But I don't know, man. If I was someone with him, like, after his sophomore year, I would have said stay at D end.
So are you saying that because of the importance of a DN compared to a tight end, or are you saying that literally because of him watching?
I'm saying because of his skill set.
Specifically.
Yes, specifically. Yeah. I'm not saying like I would rather have a defensive end over a tight end. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying, like, for him, if I was in his camp after his sophomore year and he's like, listen, I'm this entire team. There's no one else here to support me. They probably lost a good amount of their games because he's the only one. He's like, but I can transfer to IMG and get all the eyes on me and get even higher recruited. And his thought was like, I'm going to be a tight end. Like, I mean, just watching the film back, it's like, dude, what you're able to do on defense is, like, I know offense is fun. And when you get the ball, it's very fun. But, like, tight end is you get the ball the least as a tight end. So I don't know. Like, I feel like
I have two things. First off, you didn't have to throw a stray at his other high school. They could be decent. They could be okay. I mean, if
one dude is throwing your touchdowns, catching your touchdowns, running for your touchdowns, making your tackles, making your interceptions, making your fumbles, you're not a very good team.
I don't know about that. I will check and see if they're any good, because he could just be that good. I mean, I've been on teams where we were a good team, but then there's a guy who's just that great. But here's the thing. I see what you're saying. And like I said, being that body type, when I'm running the neighborhood or doing a cardio and I'm having fantasy land in my brain, I'm like, all right, Reed Bacon, 6'3", 250.
Yeah.
What am I playing? What am I playing? It really
am I putting on the red gloves and being Keith Bullock today? Am I strapping up? Am I getting the armbands on? Am I Cortland Finnegan? Like, what? Like, which way am I going?
Yeah, so it's like, I really think it's a preference, and I hear you, and I get what you're saying. But for me, if his passion maybe is tight end, if he loves it, that's what he wants to do, and that's what he feels. And the other thing is too, you're sitting there saying he can make more of a difference. Well, like, I mean, if you go look at Georgia this year, they're the national champs. Their best player on their team's a tight end. So it's true. Like, you made a comment that says tight ends are going to get the ball last. That ain't true, brother. Like, if you're Travis Kelce doesn't get the ball last. Like, Brock Bowers did not get the ball last. And I know I'm throwing out greats. I mean, you could say George Kittle is first or second in the NFL, and he doesn't get it a ton. Mm-hmm. And that's because of how. So I get there's arguments to be made on both sides. But, like, if that's where his passion is and that's what he likes it, like, go do it. So I hear you. I respect your opinion that you watch it and you think that he might be better fit for there. My thing is I'm not even going to worry about it, because he is at IMG and he is playing tight end. So it looks like to me he's going to be playing tight end. So I'm thinking about him at the University of Tennessee as a tight end. And I think with how good he is and with how much our tight ends do play, think about it. We had Princeton Fant in there at our slot with a lot of attempted passes to him. If you give Jonathan Echols that many attempts, it's going to be scary what he can do, because he is so much more gifted than the guys that are on the field now.
Also, the changeup we had with Princeton Fan, where we put him in different positions and get him the ball in different ways, and like that's literally what Jonathan did his sophomore year. Like,
right,
they drew up ways to get him the ball, whether he was throwing it or running it himself. And it's like, hell, put him at quarterback like you did with Fant, have him run the ball. Like, he's used to it.
Exactly. Just for the sense of this video, take Jonathan Echols and put him on. Now, obviously, he's going to improve. He's got another senior year. He's got a senior year to go in high school, and then he's got to get on campus. So he's going to improve tremendously as he matures and plays the game and practices and puts more and more hours in. But just think about if you have him compared to Princeton Fant at a running back, at an H-back, as a slot receiver, at all those positions, throwing passes. You might forget that you mentioned that you wanted him a defensive end for a hot minute. So, I think just watch. So, in the purpose of talking about this, I couldn't be happier for him, because I do think a tight end and a blue chip tight end can be a big deal. And I think it's exciting. Like, selfishly, I'm excited to see him. It's like, okay, we haven't had a great tight end since Jason Witten. You know what I mean? So it's like,
truly,
let's see how it opens up the middle of the field, especially, if you've got a defensive coordinator who's sitting here worrying about a speed demon in this slot on this side, and you got a 6'4", 230 freak on this side. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, are you worried about getting beat off the top? Are you worried about a slot shot? Are you worried about Jonathan Echols coming on a climb route across the middle? So it's like, I just think it's weapons. And like you said, the Princeton Fant, like, he can do multiple things. We've seen that Heupel will allow people to do that. Would you watch this film though? Obviously, just for
yes. I watched this film. I thought his route running is okay. It's not like the best I've ever seen, which is like, he's new to being a full-time tight end. It hasn't been like what he's concentrated on his whole life. So, route running is okay, but he uses his body well, boxes out well, like makes himself big when he needs to be. Has decent hands, obviously once, you're able to maybe watch a full camp or like a full practice, and you can really see, like, does he have those hands? And then, still the same blocker, still trying to put dudes in the dirt. I hope that every tight end in the world gets motivation from George Kittle, because it is like his blocking is next level, and I freaking love it. And I think that's how all tight ends should approach blocking. And it looks like he has. It looks like he takes pride in his blocking. He takes pride in dumping dudes. So I love that again. But he still does have a high ceiling at tight end. I don't think he's gotten to take advantage of that at IMG. Doesn't seem like it very much. But Heupel's offense, it's like, show me something and I will get you. I will make sure that you're able to show your talents off.
Right.
And I think also he is a guy who can grow so much over this next senior year and when he gets here, because he's been dependent on his athleticism for a while. He's been a freak. It seems like a good amount of his life, and it's like sophomore year, he was a freak. He was beating everybody up, and it really was him just being a freak. Like we talked about last week, it was like, are you smart and a freak? Are you just a freak, or are you just smart? And like and do you have both? Like, I think he is transitioning into having smarts and into understanding the game more, where before it was like, I'm a freak. I'm going to do whatever I want out here.
When I watched him, I didn't feel like it was just freak athlete taking over because he's just that much more athletic. Like, I felt like he played football like the right way. Some of the angles, some of the angles, some of the edges. I didn't think it was just, he's just a freak athlete out there.
But I did feel like on defense there was some, like, here's a little freelance. Like, he kind of stopped, like didn't rush on that play, and then it was just like, I'm gonna kind of figure this out. And then athletic ability, I thought there was like times on offense when he was running the ball where it was like, this is a fucking, like, this is an athlete. Like, this isn't like offensive line did a great job. He read the blocks perfectly. Like, he was just like, I'm sticking my foot in the dirt. Like, I'm making plays on my own. That's how it felt. I'm making plays on my own. So that makes it to where it's like, it's not a, hey, I'm working inside the scheme. Hey, I'm understanding exactly what's going on. It's like, no, I'm just going to make a play. I'm going to see ball, hit ball. And I felt like that was kind of what he was pushed into. That had nothing to do with him. It was just kind of like, hey, we need you to be like that on this team. And now he's getting the opportunity to actually learn. So it makes it to where in my head, I'm like, God, like how much growth can he have? It's exponential now because now he's just getting smarter.
Yeah, no, I feel you. And by the way, Heard County Braves in Franklin, Georgia, they were 6-6. So chill yourself. And we don't even know what. And they were second. They were 2-1 in region, second in AD1 Region 4. I have no idea what that means. That could be Chinese to me, but they're not horrendous. So,
well, yeah, okay, they're not horrendous, but
you're just out here.
You saw that highlight tape, and they got 6 wins out of that highlight tape.
All right. Well, overall, to put a bow on this one, I mean, you sound a little. This sounds a little negative, but I get where you're coming from. But I couldn't be more excited because this is a position of if I can't watch a film and it's not a defensive tackle, a defensive end, or like a left tackle or quarterback, or corner, one of those. Then I think it's neat. I'll say it this way. I'd rather be watching about a blue chip tight end than maybe a blue chip receiver because I feel like Heupel doesn't necessarily have to have a blue chip receiver. It would be fun to have, but like a guy like this roaming the middle of the field, like I said, oh, hello. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right, good stuff.
Yeah, I think any kind of offensive weapon that we can add is just icing on the cake. I love it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Great pod.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. If you're just listening, rate and review, download, re-download, and follow us on all those platforms. Also follow us on social media at Pancakes and Bacon for our main account on Twitter, at rbacon26 for Reed, at Kyler Curbison on all social medias for myself. Also, go to rti.com. It's going to have everything you need about every Tennessee program, letting you know ins and outs of the spring games, ins and outs of baseball, softball, basketball. It has all the information. So go ahead and head on over there. But appreciate you guys so much. You're the best fans in the world. And as always, go Vols.